Hey YouTube, I want to share some craft envelopes that I made. I was going to a workshop and they wanted us to bring some larger envelopes, so 2 6x6 envelopes, and it was going to be early that next morning and I didn't have time to go to the store and buy any, and I didn't have any on hand. So what I decided to do was to make 2 of my own envelopes out of craft paper that I did have on hand. So I'm going to show you how I made those. Okay, first we're going to start with, and I'm going a little bit smaller than the 6x6 just because I want to use 1 piece of cardstock. If you do a 6x6 envelope, you're going to need a little bit more of the 12x12 sheet of cardstock. So you'll end up not being able to produce more than 1 out of that 1 sheet. So I'm going to do a little bit smaller than a 6x6, and it may be, let's see, it is 5 by 6 1/4 is what we end up with. So anyway, what we want to do is we want to start with a 6x12 sheet of craft cardstock, and you're going to score that a 1/2 inch in on both sides. So you're going to score it first at 5 1/2, and then I just flip it over because I'm right-handed. You don't have to. And then 5 1/2 again. But technically, if you didn't flip it, you'd score it at 1/2 and then the 5 1/2 mark. So the 1/2 mark and then the 5 1/2 mark. Okay, and then we want to score out at 6 1/4. And the 6 1/4 is going to give us our bottom flap. So when you bring your bottom flap in, you'll have a little bit of leeway here to slide in an extra piece for your flap, and that's your top flap that's going to come over. Okay, so we want to score that and crease it with our bone folder. Same thing with your sides. After you score those, you want to crease them. Okay, and now make sure our creases are really good. So now what I like to do is I like to go ahead and trim off what I don't need off of my base piece. So I'm going to take my scissors, and on the bottom flap you'll see the difference. Your top flap is longer, your bottom flap is what's a little shorter. So you want to take your scissors or your paper trimmer, go up the bottom side of that, and then you want to go in at a slight angle and cut off just like that. And that's going to give you your nice firm crease, and it's going to be nice and flat in the corner when you are ready to adhere your bottom flap to your top piece of your envelope. Okay, we're going to trim up on the other side, snip in at an angle, and that's done. Okay, and then you have your piece that looks like this. Okay, so now we want to cut prepare for our top flap. And I've got a piece here. Let me see if it's wide enough. Nope. Let's see what pieces I have already. Then I won't have to cut anything else. Let's check. I think that should be good enough. That should be good. You want to kind of go, make sure you have a piece that's at least almost half the size of your bottom flap. So if our bottom flap is, I think this is 5 3/4. We want to do 2 and 7, or maybe 3 1/4. You want it to be almost 3 1/4. Let's go with this piece right here. That's 3 1/2. That's close enough. Okay. And the width of our envelope is 5 inches. So we want to do 4, a little under 5 inches. So we're going to do 4. The markings on this are not exactly allowing me to do what I want to do, so I'm going to move it out a pinch. I like to do 1/8 under 5 inches. That's what I'd actually like to do. So let's see how snug that fits. Actually, it's a little short. I'm just going to mark it here, which is normally what I do. I don't even try to do measurements, but for you guys, I was trying to be nice and do the measurements, be accurate and do the measurements, but because I hate math, accuracy with exact measurements are not necessarily correct. I shouldn't say I hate math, I just don't find it to be my favorite. Okay, so now we will. Alright, here we go. So we're going to, we have 3 1/2. We're going to score at the 2 inch, let's say 2 1/4 inch mark. And the remainder there is going, that 3/4 that's left over is going to go inside our envelope. Okay. Just like that. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to round my corners of my envelope. Done. And around the corners of my top flap. Now, the typical envelope normally slants in a slight bit on each side. I'm going to put this here just to see if I even want to do that on this particular envelope. And I think I'm going to leave it. I did it on this one. Came in a little bit at an angle. This one, just for time's sake, I'm just going to leave it. But what we do is you want to take your tape runner and you're going to leave about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the bottom flap, because that's going to come up and adhere down, and whatever, there's a little opening because of the slant we have here. So you want to leave that open, no adhesive on there, just in case if whatever you slide into your envelope, it may get stuck to the bottom of that. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive at the top here before I lay that down. Do the same thing here so we can put that top flap in place. And remember to put your adhesive on the back side, because this is the inside of your envelope. Okay, I put adhesive on both because that's a very functional piece of an envelope, the top flap. And if you're constantly opening it and closing it, you don't want that to tear away from the envelope. Okay, use my bone folder to press really well. You could use a brayer or, you know, whatever you have that's a flat surface that's going to help you create that pressure that you need to press that in place. Okay, and now we already have our adhesive on our bottom flap. I'm going to bring that up. So when you start creating these beautiful cards that have odd shapes to them, you can create your own envelopes to match. And craft paper is a beautiful weight of paper for an envelope. Haven't sent one through the mail yet, so I can't tell you what the weight of it's going to be as far as sending one through the mail. But there you go. There's your craft envelope made from a 6x12 piece of craft cardstock. And thank you for watching. Enjoy and happy creating.